With YouTube attacking alternative media, please consider supporting the channel via Patreon for just $1 per month. Link below. Do I think Star Wars is going to get played out? That's a good question because I don't know. I don't know if Star Wars is going to get played out, man. I don't know. I have no idea. The only way I could look at Star Wars getting played out is, okay, let's kind of break this down. So treat it like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which you have a complete huge library of stories and characters to pull from, and that they are now becoming almost whole again by getting back X-Men and all those guys. And then you look at like the Kevin Feige being the architect of the MCU and where he wants to take it. Now, in this next phase, these next 10 years, they are going to very much be pushing things and pushing things and pushing things to expand out further and further in order to get away from having, you know, a price tag of $1 billion on a movie because everyone has these huge, insane contracts. And I honestly feel like Kathleen Kennedy is just looking at Kevin Feige and taking notes, but doing it in a way that is not the best for the franchise. Now, I'm not against there being 2 or 3 Star Wars films in a year. Not at all. I am all fucking for it, dude. But the thing is that it has to be handled in a specific enough way. One of the reasons why we like the MCU movies the way that we do is because it always feels like they're leading to a larger event, that they're leading to a larger interaction with these big event films, Avengers and all that, you know, Civil War, all that stuff. And if they start kind of leading into that, then we could actually see ourselves not getting played out, but being more and more and more engaged with Star Wars as a whole. But it has to tie in to what's happening in the television side of things. This is where Lucas, if Kennedy wants to play this right, if she wants to play this right, she could freaking out MCU Kevin Feige. Okay, or out Kevin Feige. What she does is she sets up these writers. These writers come in, Rian Johnson, the Game of Thrones guys, whomever. They come in and they set this story, this arc. This arc takes 10 years because you're seeing articles left and right. Oh, none of us will be alive to see the last Star Wars movie, or none of us will be alive to see the last MCU movie, because that's true. These movies make billions upon billions of dollars. You know, my daughter, who is 9 weeks old, is going to end up going to see these movies long after I'm dead. Right. And so the idea there is that they need to create these stories, these blocks, essentially, which is what they're doing with the MCU in these phases. I fully expect Lucasfilm to adapt that and to take from that, but also tying into these new shows, which are not going to be then divvied up amongst different divisions. That's something that's hurting the MCU, where you've got Marvel Studios and Marvel Television, and the clashing of that has kept these things apart. But if they have everything running under the same banner, then they're able to bring things in and out, in and out, in and out. And if you look at the success of the CW Arrowverse shows, when they have that constant crossover, we're going to see a fair amount of that. So Star Wars being played out could happen if they keep going down the path of, let's say, The Last Jedi, where the story's convoluted. It makes no sense as to why some characters do what they do. There's a lot that feels like it's cut out. Rian Johnson being a really horrible writer. If they keep going down that pathway, then yes, they are going to straight up screw the pooch. But if they tackle this from a smart perspective, and they start writing stories that have a years-long arc to it, right? Just and it all interweaving, and they treat it like the MCU, but it's Star Wars, and we get these badass characters, both good and bad, and they can do this. It's not that hard to do. If they can do this and they play it just right, man, imagine the crossover that would happen if they actually did what the MCU said they were going to do and have a complete, cohesive universe. Imagine that. It would be box office gold. And you can have a wide variety of stories that are being told that are constantly weaving in and out. Look at what Game of Thrones, what they're doing with Game of Thrones post the main show, right? You've got 5 spin-off series that they're discussing, 5 that are all going to be connected to everything else that's gone on, right? And so like you're going to be able to see how certain things played out, stuff that was mentioned in the show or mentioned in the books. And that is going to be what Star Wars needs to do. So yes, if they can do that, if they can do that and do it right and not let themselves get bogged down by not having this thing well thought out in advance. And I'm not talking flying by the seat of their pants here, like which is what they were doing with the sagas, because episode 9 is supposed to end the saga, the Skywalker saga at this point, meaning that there's no more episodes for a while after that, which is why they're talking about these new series. And so if they can formulate it right, then they've got something good on their hands. And I'm very excited to see what might happen with that. But at the same time, it could also blow up in their face. And to be honest with you, I could see that happening as well, simply because I don't entirely think Kathleen Kennedy is up to the job. I don't. I'm Solo is gonna have to be a win in terms of this Ron Howard coming in. Episode 9 with JJ is going to have to be a win, and not just kind of a rehash of Return of the Jedi, which essentially is kind of how The Last Jedi was in certain parts. They need some originality to it, and they need to set these things up. And I think, like I said, if done right, it will be the greatest thing ever. But then again, I also fully realize that I could just be completely blinded by my love of Star Wars and thinking that people at Lucasfilm are competent enough to actually pull this off.